When it comes to PvP, Sea of Thieves offers an experience unlike any other game. From nerve-wracking one-on-one combat all the way to all-out war, there's something for everyone who enjoys themselves some conflict. But things have changed. PvP today does not necessarily look like it did a few years ago, so I am here to answer the question, what does an average day of PvP look like in Sea of Thieves? Join me as I aim to show you the highs and the lows of the player versus player experience in this game. Just like I'm going to show you the segue to our sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped is the global men's lifestyle brand trusted by more than 9 million men worldwide, this one included. And why wouldn't I? Their Performance Package 4.0 is a game changer when it comes to creating the ultimate men's grooming and hygiene bundle. Its highlight being the Lawnmower 4.0, featuring a cutting-edge ceramic blade designed to reduce grooming accidents, and a whopping 4000K LED spotlight for when you need a more precise shave. And because the whole trimmer is waterproof, you can also use it in the shower. Not to be blinded by the LED superstar of the Performance Package, the Weed Whacker 2.0 uses a powerful 7000 RPM motor with an improved steel blade system and upgraded cutting performance from their first generation. That's a lot of words to say it's even more better, and you can feel it. And that's honestly how I feel about the whole package. Everything they sent over to me feels incredibly high quality and very comfortable to use. Something I didn't think I needed to use until I got my hands on it is the Crop Preserver Bold Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Bold Toner Spray. You'll get it when you try it out. And because value is the name of the game, you can save 20% on your order, get free international shipping, and even get 2 free gifts on top simply by clicking the link down below and using promo code CLIFF. Thanks a bunch to Manscaped for sponsoring today's episode, and now, onto our standard programming. Now, if it's trouble you are looking for, the best and fastest way to achieve that is by queuing for Hourglass PvP. That will match you up against a crew of the same size in what is hopefully going to be a balanced encounter. You can choose between diving down to invade another ship or just leaving the Hourglass up to be invaded. Unfortunately for me, my Hourglass did not want to cooperate. Excuse me? They don't allow me to dive! Yeah, speak of kick in the face, my Hourglass was apparently bugged, but hey, there's more than one way to get into trouble. According to the emissary table, there was another Reaper on the server besides myself, meaning maybe I could get into an organic fight? Nope, that other Reaper emissary was nowhere to be seen, meaning they were probably currently queuing for an Hourglass fight of their own. The best thing I could do right now was sail around and hope to be invaded if invading other ships was not an option. And thankfully for me, that is exactly what happened. I was matched up against a Guardian of Fortune and realized pretty much immediately that my cannon shots were extremely off. Though as we all know, there's more than one way to win a battle. If my naval combat was inferior to theirs, then getting up close and personal could be the solution. So as soon as I found an opportunity to board their vessel, that is exactly what I tried to achieve. Come back! I demand thee to respect thy battle! Okay, this wheel is broken. We just continue going straight from here. Come on. There we go. Oh! I forgot how fast these respawns are. Damn it! There go my dreams of achieving an out-of-bounds victory. It became very apparent that, while I was getting absolutely destroyed in naval battle, I could easily achieve the upper hand in close-quarter combat. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I took the very next opportunity I could find to shoot on over for another boarding attempt, after which I began my spawn camping agenda. Definitely not the best feeling in the world to hold somebody captive on their own vessel, but it is a legitimate strategy to win. Though little did I know that the most dangerous thing about this was not my opponent. Driving him into the volcano is extra VM. I hope we don't get hit, because I don't want the mask to go down. Are you absolutely kidding me? Rare! Turns out it was not supposed to be that easy. Getting back by a volcano was certainly frustrating, but funnily enough, being forcefully sent back to my ship made me realize that I was about to sink. Chances are, even if I drove him out of bounds successfully, I would not have stayed afloat long enough to celebrate the victory, so we were back to square one once again. Or at least so I thought, because after a whole bunch of back and forth, my enemy decided to go for a rather creative play. I actually don't think he's on his boat. Oh. He got a keg. And he blew himself up with that. Definitely not something I expected to see in an Hourglass battle. At this stage I realized roughly 20 minutes into the fight that both of us were slowly running out of supplies as well as patience. In a solo v solo matchup where both players are not exactly the cream of the crop, it is not unusual for these fights to really drag out. And since both contestants would rather move on to the next battle, it also is not unusual for one of them to propose a duel in order to settle the score. That duel can be a test of luck in the form of a dice roll or a test of skill in the form of Makagora. Sorry if I'm playing too much hardcore classic. What I meant to say is a duel to the death. Seeing as how his naval was a lot better than mine, and seeing how I usually kept the upper hand in close quarters, I found it only fair to let the dice decide our fate. But our friend over here was no quitter, and as such demanded a fight in order to resolve this battle.
No, let's do sword fight one more time. I start at the beginning here, you start at the back. Just sword, no eating, no lunges.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
GG.
GG's, man, was a good fight. Gotta say, I definitely respect that guy for taking the 1v1 instead of a dice roll. Alas, this was only my first of many battles that day, and rest assured knowing that not all of them will be this easy. In fact, the true nature of PvP was only about to present itself. Okay, now I gotta be honest with you guys, not all fights will be epic encounters. As you just witnessed, some of them will end with a clank of a sword instead of the bang of a cannonball, and because my matchmaking rating is pretty low, I was fortunate enough to match up against somebody whom diving out of bounds was very easy. But the thing about matchmaking ratings is that they increase if you win. And apparently, I had won one too many matches because the free farm of yore was no longer. But to make matters worse... Photo Fortune? Bad timing. Okay, screw it. Hopefully it's a PvE and I can just end this immediately. Come on, game! Yo, let's end this quick so we can go for the Photo Fortune, dude. This was the definition of bad timing. The Photo Fortune is the most sought after world event in the current season because it holds exclusive rights to the most in-demand item in the entire game, the Chest of Fortune. The fact that I was matched up against somebody who not only knew how to hold his own, but also played extremely defensively was absolute worst case scenario, because we only had 30 minutes to end this fight before the fort despawned. My naval combat prowess had improved a little bit since my first match, but not enough to end this fight quickly and decisively, made even more frustrating by the fact that my enemy completely disengaged every time we exchanged a broadside. And soon, it began to make sense to me why he did that. Bro literally played himself with that. He double gunned a little too hard, dude. Like, the intention was there, but... he played himself. Big words coming from somebody who absolutely missed his opportunity to turn the tides. I started to realize that this guy wanted to keep his ship in pristine condition so that he could board and spawn camp me without fear of sinking in the meantime. A problem I was intimately familiar with. The problem now was that not only did I lack the naval prowess to defeat him on the open sea, but I was also rapidly running out of cannonballs to try and make that happen. My final barrage hit true, taking out his mast in the process. I wanted nothing more than to board him so I could end this fight, but unfortunately, he had put enough pressure on me to ensure that I could not leave my vessel. With me on my last pocket of cannonballs and him unwilling to commit to an open broadside anyway, we were in a stalemate. And with a Photo Fortune on the line, that was quite possibly the worst case scenario. However, there was a glimpse of hope on the horizon. Another Reaper emissary that was coming towards us, meaning if I can sweet talk them into helping me win my battle, I could still lay claim on the Photo Fortune. Though that is assuming that this ship is willing to negotiate. Good day, gentlemen. May I hire you to take out this Athena? That's a keg. Oh. No, the other ship, not yours. I'll pay you for it. Literally, what was little bro trying to do? That was a good question, but whatever his intention was, he definitely had the right energy. Energy I needed him to direct towards my opponent so that I could clear the Photo Fortune and pay him with the loot inside it. Whilst he was distracting my opponent, I went around trying to find some flotsam in hopes of collecting additional cannonballs to actually end this fight. Seeing as how my fellow Reaper was more interested in ramming the other ship than shooting it, I decided to sword dash on over to, let's call it, borrow some of his cannonballs as well. For a hot second, I thought I was actually beginning to gain control of this encounter, at least until pretty much everything began to fall apart. Oh my god. A Reaper Galleon? No, the FOF is gone! Oh crap. Okay, this is looking all sorts of bad for us right now. Reaper Galley, help! Get the Athena, I'm begging bro, I'm out of cannonballs. Anyone here? Yo, what's up? Can I get some cannonballs from you guys? Hey, I need some cannonballs. Can I get some cannonballs? I just need some I'm begging, please, I need cannonballs. Thank you, appreciate that. Bro, I'm on your side. I'm literally on your side. Chill, 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 chill. I'm on your side. I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
There's no side, bro.
Bro, come on. There's sides. The side that needs cannonballs, at least. I wasn't gonna be able to sweet-talk my way out of that one. There was no reason for that galleon to even entertain the thought of helping me, in light of the fact that their 4-man crew could probably obliterate every single Solo Slooper within its vicinity. I was now stuck in an arena with no cannonballs, a Guardian of Fortune hell-bent on spawn camping me, as well as a galleon ready to clean up any and everyone to claim victory. It would take an incredibly skilled pirate to try and get out of that situation, and unfortunately, I was not one such pirate, because as it turned out, I was not the one destined to defeat anyone at all. Huh? He sank while spawn camping a swabby? Okay, now for the galleon. This is rather annoying. Oh, the one ball. Yeah, about that. Even after that chaotic Reaper 1 sloop managed to win me that Hourglass fight, there was no victory for me to claim. Such is simply the way of PvP in Sea of Thieves. I had gotten lucky one too many times, and in the end, karma always claims its price. But if you want to claim yourself another video to watch, what about you check out my episode on All Out War? If Hourglass PvP is not your thing, maybe its all natural and organic counterpart could find your liking. Simply follow the card on screen right now. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you guys have a day filled with riches on the sea. And until next time, peace.